Well, this is gonna be a tricky one. Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here, and welcome to a conflicting episode of JamesMCD's Friday Nightmare. And today we will be taking a look at Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, released in 1989, written and directed by Rob Hedden. The movie centers around a group of Crystal Lake graduates taking a celebratory cruise ship to New York, who unfortunately have to deal with a little stowaway in the form of undead zombie Jason. Now, the reason at the beginning that I said that this was going to be a conflicting video is because I'm honestly not sure, like, how I feel about this movie. Like, it's bad, don't get me wrong. Like, it's, not only is it, like, absolutely fucking brain dead. Like, there is not a brain in its fucking body. It's really long, really boring, and it's the very definition of false advertising. Like, they really played up the whole New York aspect of this movie. Like, between all the trailers, like, they marketed the hell out of, like, oh, we're not in Crystal Lake anymore. Like, all the trailers showed off Jason, like, terrorizing New York and looking on at the skyline. I mean, like, fucking, this was the box art, for God's sake. This, like, Jason's mask, like, peering over the skyline. Like, this was the box art. So, like, and they were making, like, really big moves with, like, different, like, posters. Like, Jason went on Arsenio Hall to promote this movie. And they were really trying to play up the New York aspect. Because originally, Rob Hedden wanted the movie to take place more in New York. Like, he had like set pieces involving the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty, Madison Square Garden, all these other places. But Paramount apparently could not afford to have them shoot there. And the budget got cut halfway through production or something. So he wasn't able to, you know, make the movie that he wanted. So it's not until the last, like, 35 to 40 minutes of the movie where it actually takes place in New York, and the majority of it is just these kids on this cruise ship. I can understand, like, you know, studios suck and budget cuts suck, and, you know, not getting to make the movie that you want can suck, but at the very least, don't play up. The movie is called Jason Takes Manhattan. Do not play up in the advertising that New York is going to be a big focal point when New York isn't brought into the picture until, like, the last third of the movie. Like, when I was watching that and I realized that most of this movie was going to be on this fucking boat, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. But with that said, when they finally get to New York, it is some of the most entertaining, like, scenes and set pieces in any one of these movies. So that's why I'm kind of torn, because, like, it is really bad, and it is really dumb, and it is really boring, and it's, like, false advertising, but the stuff in New York honestly was kind of worth the wait. Okay, I realize that I've been kind of, like, all over the place, so let me talk about this in two halves. So the stuff on the boat, it is really boring. Like, the characters are all just kind of your typical, like, dumb horror movie victims. There are a lot of, like, plot threads in this movie as well, and especially a lot of them in this section that just never get brought up again. Like, they straight up blackmail their teacher, like, with a hidden camera of him, like, making it look like he's sleeping with one of his students, and then that tape just never gets brought up again. There's a lot of characters on this ship that don't really get to make an impression because they're killed off so quickly. The kills as well kind of suck, like, not just in this half of the movie, but all throughout the movie. Like, most of them happen off screen. Probably the best kill would be the guy in the sauna when Jason takes the hot stone and, like, presses it through the guy's chest. Like, that was kind of cool. But a lot of the kills are just kind of substandard, and a lot of them happen off screen. Like, I'm assuming that maybe they just didn't have the budget for it. They do a lot of similar things from like the first one where they have, you know, like the crazy Ralph character who is like on the boat with them and telling them they're all gonna die and blah blah blah. And, you know, everyone doesn't want to believe him until, like, it's too late. And then it turns into the last act of Titanic, where they're having to get off the boat before it sinks and burns to the ground while also having to escape Jason and everything like that. And then they have to paddle to shore to get to New York. At first, when they got to New York, I was kind of like, well, now I don't care. You waited too long. Like, the movie should be wrapping up by now. Like, thankfully, like, it starts to pick up steam again towards this last, like, 35 to 40 minutes. Like, there are some really funny and entertaining scenes. The teacher gets, like, drowned in a barrel of toxic waste, which is really funny. There's a scene where Jason is kind of, like, the hero for a few seconds, where he saves the main girl from getting like sexually assaulted by these two like gangsters. There's a scene where like he's walking through Times Square and he kicks over these guys like boombox, and they like all run up on him with weapons, and he lifts up his mask and shows his face, and then they're like, oh, it's cool, man, it's cool. Like, that was funny. There's a scene on a rooftop where one of the characters tries to box Jason, and then he gets his head punched off, which, by the way, there are two characters in this movie who are portrayed as undefeated amateur boxers, and I promise you that I would fuck both of them up. And then there's a chase through a subway station and a train car, and it feels like Scream 6 is happening in the next car over. Then they get like chased through the sewers of New York, where they're racing against the clock because apparently like a bunch of toxic waste is gonna be drained in there in a few minutes. Like, what the fuck is happening? They show Jason's face again, which, like, so far of all the movies, this is probably like the worst like makeup that it looks. Like, he seriously looks like the fucking Garbage Pail Kids. Like, it looks terrible. And then it just kind of like ends. It doesn't really have like a resolution. It's like, oh, Jason's dead, and then credits. So yeah, kind of an all over the place review. Like, I honestly, I don't know like how to go about ranking this. I feel like I have to go as objectively as possible, and like talking 100% objectively, like considering what that first act was and how it just blatantly lied to its audience, and it disappointed so many people when it came out. It didn't make nearly as much money as they were expecting, to the point where even the writer-director has like apologized in like interviews and like DVD commentaries and stuff to fans who were disappointed by it, which, I mean, kudos for like owning up to your mistakes, but like still, like, God, this movie sucked. This movie sucked so bad. But at the same time, the New York stuff does kind of pull it from being like a bottom of the barrel like 1 or 1.5. So I think, I think I'd have to go 2 out of 5. Like 2 out of 5 purely objectively. But anyway, that does it for this episode of The Friday Nightmare. What did you think? What did you think of Jason Takes Manhattan? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think that the New York stuff at the end was worth the wait? Or do you think like, oh, that stuff on the boat takes forever, it was way too long, it was too little too late? Let me know all that stuff down below. I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are. And tune in tomorrow where I'll be taking a look at A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Until then, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay updated when I'm posting. Follow me on all my social media, subscribe to my main channel, everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.